Do you know the five protections under the First Amendment? Can you name those right now just to verify?
We keep going around and around.
No, officer.
There's no reason to keep going around
Officer,
and around.
do you not have an oath to the Constitution?
Yeah, we all swear an oath to the Constitution.
So are you going to swear an oath to something you don't understand? Just please, for the record, let me know
we also swore to uphold the law.
Right, okay. which is pursuant to the Constitution. The law is void.
You're subject to a traffic stop.
Officer,
you have to provide ID.
Respectfully, the law is void if it's not in alignment and pursuant to the Constitution. So if you read the Constitution, you'd understand that.
Welcome back, folks. I have a question for you. What is the status of natural rights that existed before the Bill of Rights? The 9th Amendment tells us that whatever those rights are, they were not eliminated by the passage of the Bill of Rights. The 9th Amendment, if properly understood and fully protected, would more than likely constrict government in numerous ways. So if the number of people who question certain laws grow, the less power government has to enforce those laws. There are an infinite number of rights people exercise every day that are not enumerated in the Bill of Rights. It's important to try to understand the original text of the 9th Amendment, which is the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights cannot be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. What is the original meaning of that text and the issue with judicial rule? It's important to note that as a matter of practical litigation reality, the 9th Amendment is virtually a dead letter. No majority opinion in the history of the Supreme Court has never invalidated a law, federal or state, on the basis of the 9th Amendment.
What's the reason for the detainment tonight, officer?
So there's no license plate on the back, brother. You got your driver's license?
I'm not going to answer any questions, but I do want to ask, am I detained right now?
Yeah, brother, you're on a traffic stop.
Alrighty, well, I'm asking you to read me my rights and take me to the local magistrate because you're not qualified to make legal conclusions about what my license plate implies or what regulations I'm bound to follow. As far as I'm concerned, this stop is unconstitutional and you're violating your oath of office, and I'm going to be exercising my rights and not engaging in any questions, and you can proclaim that I'm under some type of obligation to have license plates or provide you any information, but I'm going to exercise my rights to my fullest capabilities, and with all due respect to the law, I am a student of the law, and I don't find any lawful reason for this stop, and I'd like to speak to your supervisor.
A quick reminder to go check out the original channel called County Watcher. Make sure you let them know that I sent you.
Alright. That's a whole lot of stuff you just said.
Well, it's all on video if you need me to replay it, officer.
Yeah, we got all kinds of video going.
What's your name and badge number?
Krause, 310.
Thank you, sir.
So, you have your driver's license.
I'm not going to answer any questions, and under the 5th Amendment, I'm not going to provide you any information that you're going to be using against me in the court of law. Like I said, you can read me my rights, and I'm going to be silent until I'm either taken to the local magistrate to discuss the constitutionality of this matter, or you provide me with your supervisor.
I just want to make sure you're clear, okay? By not providing your driver's license, you are subject to arrest for failure to identify.
Well, like I said, under my position, I'm exercising constitutional freedoms.
I understand.
And if you feel like, you know, this is some type of Nazi country where you can say, show me your papers and I have to obey, then, officer, I'm sorry, you're mistaken. You need to reread the Constitution. You need to understand the Supremacy Clause and how we're still free. I'm not a slave, and you're not a slave catcher. You're a servant to the people. I'm just traveling. I'm riding in my vehicle, my automobile, private. Just purchased it. I have no obligation to go rush into any registration, license plate. I just purchased this vehicle. I'm not going to provide you any information unless I'm compelled to, under threat, duress, and coercion. Unless you pull out your gun and point it at me, I'm not going to do anything for you.
I'm not going to do that, brother. As long as you don't have any weapons on you, we're not going to go that route.
I mean, first of all, I usually don't answer questions like that, but I don't carry any weapons, and even if I did, it would be protected under the Second Amendment as an arm.
I just want to make sure we're clear on the first part, okay?
For sure.
Okay, if you don't provide ID,
well, like I said, that's your opinion.
That's not opinion. That's what's going to happen.
Is the government violating the 9th Amendment by using tactics, propaganda, media, and other ways to encourage people to just comply and never question authority or unjust laws? If cops don't know the oath they swore to, how are we supposed to know if what they're telling us is the truth? Countless videos prove cops are oblivious to the Constitution. This is another one of those videos. And why do we keep seeing videos like these? What's the wording that makes people keep thinking they should question whether or not they need a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle? Or should I say automobile? Because words are important, folks.
All right, well,
So
if you would like to provide...
I'm trying to be as polite as possible with you. I just want to make sure that's perfectly clear.
What's the reason for providing my identification or any information whatsoever?
You're subject to a traffic stop right now for not having a driver's or license plate on the back. So you have to provide ID.
Under
And
what
once
law?
It's under state law. So
Does state law override the Constitution, sir?
I'm not going to debate all that with you.
Exactly, because you don't understand
I
the
just wanna make
protections
sure-
of the
I just
Constitution.
want to make sure we're clear on what's going to happen if you don't provide ID.
What's going to happen, officer?
You're going to go to jail for failure to identify. That's what's going to happen.
So you're threatening to take me out of this vehicle, put me under gunpoint, and take me into a cage because I
didn't
won't
say
show
anything
you...
about gunpoint, brother. I didn't say anything
Officer,
about
if I don't
gunpoint.
comply with your demands, how are you going to enforce your lawful command?
You're going to go to jail.
And
I
how
don't
are you
wanna
going
do
to
that.
how are you going to force that? You're going to take out your weapon if I don't comply, aren't you?
Well, we're going to have you get out of this car and we're going to take you to jail.
Exactly, under threat, duress, and coercion. Because I didn't show you a certain document, because you have an assumption that I need to comply with state law where I already informed you this is unconstitutional. And I'm looking at your camera right now, and if we're in court over this, just remember, you have a bond with the city that can be liquidated for damages that you caused me because you violated your oath of office. I already put you on notice of all the rights that I'm actually exercising right now, and you have completely been ignorant of them. Like, you have no respect for the people's rights or for the Constitution's supremacy to state law.
Are cops being disingenuous when approaching this matter? Do cops take it too far by breaking windows and violently extracting people from the vehicle for not complying? Is that even necessary? If the law isn't crystal clear to where everyone would understand and or agree, for example, everyone would agree that murder is wrong, should there be a different approach by the government to resolve this matter without people having to lose their lives for standing on what they believe is their freedom to travel without interference from government?
So I've been as polite as I possibly can be. And I'm still
Officer,
trying to be polite with you.
officer, I have no obligation to provide you any documents. You still haven't provided me any statutes or proof that I am under obligation to
Your Honor,
follow those
You're
statutes.
subject to a traffic stop right now. You do have to provide ID. Okay? I'm trying to be as polite as possible with you.
I'm not going
But
to provide you
you're going-
identification.
then you're going to go to jail. That's what's going to happen.
You're threatening to take me to jail?
I'm not threatening. I'm telling you what's going to happen. I don't want to take you to jail, but that's what's going to happen.
Officer, can I get your name and badge number for the record, please?
Officer Thomas, okay, badge number 306.
You said Officer Thomas 306? Thank you, sir. So, your assertion right now is that because I did not provide you a document that identified my person, which I already stated under the Fifth Amendment, I have the right to be secure in my person's, house's, papers, and effects unless I'm suspected of a crime, which there is no crime. There's no harmed party. What if I have no obligation to be acting for any person that you have identification for? You're saying that I am obligated as a person, as one of the people, to register with the state where I have an identification to just use the road and be in my private property to convey from one point to another? Is that your assertion, officer?
Brother, you have to have a license plate on your vehicle to operate on the roadway.
That's
You're
your
subject to a
that's
traffic
your
stop.
legal determination
That
on
is
the
the
side
law.
of the road.
That is the law.
You're making legal determinations on the side of the road that
telling
you're
you
not
what the law
qualified to make, officer.
I'm
Are
telling
you
you what the
licensed to
law
practice law,
I'm
officer?
not a lawyer, no.
So why are you making legal determinations
I'll
on the
tell you
side
what
of the
law
road?
says.
Then show me the law. Instead of saying
I'm not
it
gonna argue
right
with
now, you're not arguing.
not
I'm asking you to provide the source of your claims because I have no obligation to believe you right now.
Okay.
Everything he just said was outstanding, and he's right about a few things. These cops absolutely do not respect the Constitution. On the contrary, they scoff at it. They refuse to learn it. They call people names like sovereign citizens when you tell them you have rights. But let's be honest. All of us have seen cops turning without signal lights, parking in red zones, running stop signs, and speeding down the road without emergency lights. And this is only the tip of the iceberg to what cops get away with daily. Corruption runs deep and their umbrellas of protection are wide. Government should fear the people, not the other way around.
once again, you're gonna go to jail if you don't provide ID. You can provide ID, and you'll be on your way.
What's the reason that I have to provide identification?
You don't have a license plate on your vehicle.
So because I don't have a license plate on my vehicle, what does that imply? There is a license plate on my vehicle.
You're subject to a traffic stop, which means you have to provide ID.
There actually are license plates on my vehicle, officer.
No, there's not.
There's two. There's a bear paw in the front, and there's my first name in Blackfoot in the back, which is ℍ𝕀ℙ𝔼 𝔼𝔽𝔼. So if I need to provide you any documentation for proving this isn't a stolen vehicle, or that I'm not harboring any illegal weapons or whatever, I'm not gonna let you. Basically, I shouldn't even be talking right now. If you really want to drag me out of my private property, put me in handcuffs and put me in a cage because I didn't show you some papers that you claimed was a lawful command, because I'm on the road freely exercising my right to travel in my automobile, not harming anybody, not causing anybody loss, injury, there's no bona fide complainant or claimant claiming that I've caused anybody any reason for you to detain me right now and be harassing me, threatening to put me in a cage.
Brother.
And honestly, do you know the first 5 protections under the First Amendment? Can you name those right now just to verify?
We keep going around and around.
No,
there's
officer.
no reason to keep going around
Officer,
and around.
do you not have an oath to the Constitution?
Yeah, we all swear an oath to the Constitution.
So are you going to swear an oath to something you don't understand? Just please, for the record, let me know
We also swore to uphold the law.
Right,
Okay.
which is pursuant
So
to
you
the
have to have a license
Constitution.
plate on your vehicle.
The law is
And if you're
void.
subject to a traffic stop,
Officer,
you have to provide ID.
Respectfully, the law is void if it's not in alignment and pursuant to the Constitution. So if you read the Constitution, you'd understand that. Respectfully, officer, I mean no violence. I'm not being confrontational. I'm upholding my freedoms as one of the people. And to proclaim that I need to be forced to put registration, licensure, insurance, whatever you're claiming, identification, it's all unconstitutional. And I'm willing to take this to the Supreme Court if I need to, because we have freedoms under the Constitution, the 9th and 10th Amendments. We don't have to comply with orders that require our consent. In order to get registration, what do I have to do? I have to pay with money. In order to get license, what do I have to do? I have to pay with money. Anything I have to pay for is something that requires my consent, something that is contractually governed. Any contract is void if I am forced into signing that contract. So why would I sign a contract without my consent to get license plates or registration if I don't even consent to the contract? That does not mean I don't have the right to use the public.
Sir, here's the deal. Officer Krause is talking with you, conducting an investigation. Okay, so I don't want you to repeat yourself over and over. So when he gets back, you can talk to him. Okay?
Officer, I understand. I'm speaking for the record just because I'm recording right now. It's just for the record.
You're free to record, okay?
I'm just trying to record that I've put multiple officers on notice of what my intent
How
is.
do you feel, sir?
All right. And I don't know if he's already requested a supervisor to be present, but I'm requesting that.
All right, brother.
How's it going?
So, talk to my partner over here.
Yes, sir. I put him on notice of my intent, and everything that he's doing is unconstitutional as of this point, alongside with you.
Okay.
And you've not provided me any probable
so I'm
cause.
You know, I've got more units coming.
Is this the sheriff?
You're going to be going to jail
Perfect.
if you don't provide ID.
So these are sheriffs.
Yes, sir.
So they are work for the county.
Yes, sir.
They should be holding you guys accountable to protect the Constitution.
But I can tell you right now, brother, you're going to go to jail if you don't provide ID. So what's it going to be?
Honestly, officer, this is getting fun for me because everybody here... Officer, can you identify yourself? What's your name and badge number?
We have seen countless videos like these, but rarely do we see outcomes. But there is a video that I covered a while back where a man was put in handcuffs but immediately released when the chief demanded the cops to leave him alone.
Officer, well, we've have 2 officers that have arrived on scene and they've ignored my questions, and they're supposed to be sheriffs for Medina County. We have an officer pointing a flashlight at me saying I'm going to get taken to jail
Yes, sir.
put in a cage if I don't show him my papers saying that I'm a legal person? What's the suspicion here, officer?
I've already explained all that to you. Bro.
Officer, can I get your name and badge number just for the record?
Deputy Armadillo.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. You said deputy. What was that? Officer, if you wanted the VIN number, I could have provided it. You know, there was no problem.
You still have to provide ID, brother. So that's the issue.
So can you, just for the record, he's saying I have to provide certain identification, and I'm saying it's unconstitutional for me to have to provide anything that'll be used against me under the court of law.
By law, you do have to...
Officer, did you swear an oath to the Constitution?
Yes.
Do you understand the Fifth Amendment?
And do you understand that you do have to identify yourself when approached by law?
Under what law?
Do you understand the
Under what law? It would be helpful for me to understand it if you would cite the law for me and show me the source so I can understand if that law is positive law, if that law is void.
Yeah, that's what we're getting to. Just trying to be nice about it. But...
Right.
Officer, I have identification. I told you I'm willing to provide it.
What's it gonna be? ID or go to jail? Because that's where we're at. You tell me. Decision is yours.
This is quite ridiculous. I'm gonna get my identification because I'm being threatened by 4 police officers. My car is surrounded, and they're threatening that if I don't provide them this identification, I'm gonna be put in a jail under threat, duress, and coercion unconstitutionally. I still didn't get this officer's name and badge number. Please, can I get your name and badge? Officer, can I get your name and badge number for the record, please?
Deputy Gonzalez, 7737.
Thank you, sir.
One thing that you do need to understand, man, you were stopped because you don't have a license plate.
Understandable, sir. You were not here when I informed the officer. I just purchased this vehicle. I should have a certain amount of time for me to get all my stuff and not be harassed by police officers and sheriffs just because I haven't purchased something yet. Yes. You're putting me under gunpoint saying you need to purchase this or we're taking your car,
Nobody's taking their gun out. Nobody's pointing anything.
Officer, respectfully, if I did not comply with his demand, he was about to yank me out of my vehicle, probably impound my vehicle, and all of you would have been put into a court of law where you would have all had your licenses removed, you would have had your bonds liquidated. I would have had a very large settlement, but right now I'm trying to get home. So I'm trying to help be reasonable.
One,
officer,
a lot of people operate.
I'm a student. I am a student of the law. I'm a student of the law.
Talk, man, and I'm trying to explain things to you.
Okay, let me hear your perspective for the record.
If you're driving a vehicle without a license plate, how do we know it's not stolen?
I told him I can provide all the documentation that it's not stolen.
Where's the buyer
all the contracts
supposed to give you?
And in fact, I actually am contractually obligated to keep this vehicle out of commerce. I can provide you the contract right now. You can read it. In order to get this vehicle that I'm in right now, I had to sign a contract saying I was not going to get it registered, license plates, because that's putting it into a commercial capacity where I'm now obligated to register it and insure it.
You are obligated.
No, it's, officer, respectfully, the law has its limitations set forth in the Constitution, which you took an oath to. You should be able to speak it verbatim. But what are the 5 protections under the First Amendment, officer?
What are the 5 protections? I'm not here
easy,
to cite the Constitution to you, man.
Easy. 5 protections of the First Amendment. Are you a real sheriff or not?
Yes,
Can you recite it for the record or not? 5 protections. Exactly, because you don't know. Just like all these officers, you don't know the 5 protections under the First Amendment. Can you prove them wrong, or prove me wrong, that nobody here knows the 5 protections under the First Amendment? Because you did take an oath to the Constitution. So you're not here to display your proper duty. Because right now you're basically in dereliction of duty because you're working under the guise that you have this oath to a Constitution that you're not even under you don't have specific knowledge of.
And you don't know, obviously you don't know the laws.
I do know the law. You know what's funny? I know the law more than you, where I can cite why the law even applies to vehicles. It's because the state has jurisdiction over commercial interstate commerce or intrastate commerce. The federal government has jurisdiction over interstate commerce. That's how they have jurisdiction to license and register. It has nothing to do with general welfare. It's all commercial. That's why I have to pay money to get license plates. That's how I have to pay money to get a sticker or whatever the heck is required. It's all commercial. Officer, are you done with my property?
No, sir, not yet.
Like I said, I just purchased this vehicle. I'm in the process of getting everything I need to have it perfectly constitutionally valid to travel in. I can provide all the evidence that I purchased it lawfully, and there's a contract with the previous license plate number for you. There's a VIN number. There's a person to contact if you want to make sure it's really not stolen. Okay. There's a whatever you want.
And you have all that paperwork?
I have it all right here. You can take pictures of it, but you can't steal it from me because
I'm not trying to steal anything, bro.
Well, you want me to show it to you? It's in a briefcase behind me.
Got it. Yep.
If you guys aren't going to shoot me, there's a briefcase right here. All I'm going to do is pull it out. 2011 Camaro LT Rally Sport.
Okay.
And I actually have multiple copies, so I'm going to give you one of the ones that is not the original.
That's fine. I'll give it back to you here in just a minute.
Honestly, I might let you keep that one, officer, but we'll see. You guys should all study the Constitution, so when people like me ask you questions about it, you can recite it in confidence and not have to back down because you haven't been doing your studying. It's pretty actually sad, because if I was in y'all's position, under the guys that I'm protecting and serving, I would have the at least respect for the people to reassure them that I know the first 5 protections of the First Amendment, which supersedes state law. It supersedes city regulations, which is under the Supremacy Clause. I don't have to say that I'm a member of a Blackfoot reservation and that I have certain tribal sovereignty rights. I don't have to say any of that. I should be able to exercise my rights as one of the people that, just like you and you and you, if you're not making money on the road engaged in commerce, you shouldn't be regulated by the government, period. If you're not causing harm, injury, or loss to another person, you should not be harassed by the government, period. You guys are like tyrants right now. You literally pulled me over. You said, show me your papers or I'm going to put you in jail. How do you not feel like Nazi Germany right now? This is crazy. And by the way, guys, I'm an auditor, so I can technically file a claim against all of you for violating your oath of office, liquidate all of your bonds, and maybe if you have wives, I can go after y'all's assets too, because this is completely egregious. You should look up Title 18, subsection 242 and 241, because right now it's a conspiracy against my rights as one of the people. And all of you are implicated in your personal, professional, and public capacity, official capacity. And it's crazy because you have the oath, not me, and I know more about the law and about the Constitution than y'all. Guaranteed. And the funny thing is Article 1, Section 10, no state shall impair obligations of contract. I have an obligation under that contract to not put this vehicle in commercial affairs. So you demanding me under gunpoint to put license plates on my vehicle and show me my papers is all threatening me to be a part of a contract with the state, threatening my consent, which is against the law. The supreme law of the land. And everybody's gonna see this because I do post videos, and everybody's gonna know that in Castroville there's these 2 sheriffs, this one who thinks that he can teach me about the law, this guy who just decides to sit back and watch, this guy who decides that he doesn't need to prove that he has an oath to the Constitution, he doesn't need to show me that he's competent to be in this position, in this disguise, under color of law, color of authority, color of office, to be putting all your, taking out your emotions on me. Oh, sir, you need to have a license plate, but you refuse to show me the statute or the regulation and affirm that it's positive law that I'm bound to follow. It's ridiculous. You don't even have the competence to show me the law you'd rather threaten me and say, oh, sir, I'm not playing that game. That's pretty unprofessional of all of you to allow that to happen and claim to actually protect and serve and have an oath. It's ridiculous, honestly. You think I'm a slave, but you guys are actually the servants to the people. But you're treating me like the servant. You're treating me like I have to serve the state and have stuff on my vehicle to actually engage in my freedom to ride in my vehicle and my private automobile, which is just like if I was on a bicycle. You're not pulling over bicycles for not having license plates, are you, officers? You're not pulling over scooters for not having license plates, are you, officers? Those are modes of conveyance. They use the public roads. What's the difference? My car is nice and fast. Come on. Use your logic. What's the threshold that you have to register your mode of conveyance? It's all commercial. Everything we're dealing with that we have to pay money for, that we have to use Federal Reserve notes for, is commercial. Nobody is legally bound to perform under a contract that they were forced into. That's the law. That's the law. If you guys want to talk about the law, you should know about contract law. Who knows what he's doing with my information back there? Thinks he can take me to jail because I just bought a new vehicle and I'm deciding to go to the store that I need to go to for my own survival. It's ridiculous. Apparently, according to the officers in Medina County, Castroville, Texas, we live in Nazi Germany. They can pull me over because I have an unmarked vehicle that they can't just scan and look up all the information of. They proclaim that I need to show my identification because it's the law, which apparently supersedes the Constitution, according to these officers. The state law supersedes the Constitution. Is that your claim, officer? Because that's how you're acting, and your actions speak louder than your words, and your silence is acquiescence under the law. And when you have a duty to speak and you're silent, that's actually fraud. When you have a duty to disclose and you decide to not disclose, that's fraud. When you have a duty to protect and you actually not only fail to protect, but exercise powers that you're not authorized to exercise. And not only that, you're forbidden from exercising these powers of detaining one of the people for unconstitutional reasons. Meaning that I haven't harmed anybody. I should not be forced into any contract. Thank you, sir.
Do you have insurance by chance?
Officer, I just purchased this vehicle privately, as you can see.
Okay.
I don't know if you got to read the clauses.
I tried to flip through it, but there's a lot to read.
It's a lot to read. Like I said, we should have a
I'm not
local...
gonna make you sit here while I read that whole thing. So.
No, I'm just saying, like, you're not qualified to make legal conclusions, so we should talk to a judge about this. If you want to take me to the local magistrate, we can settle this right now. We can decide if he can adjudicate this contract and see if what you're doing is actually valid under this contract.
Just asking you one question.
Okay, officer, what's your question?
Do you have insurance, yes or no?
Officer, I'm not going to provide you any questions.
Okay.
I'm not going to provide you any answers to any questions.
Okay.
Like I said, I just purchased this vehicle, and anything that you say, anything that I say that will be used against me, I'm not going to say it. And I already told you to read me my rights and take me to the local magistrate, and you haven't done it. So obviously you're trying to fish out more questions from me.
No, I just asked you a simple question.
Officer, you're trying to incriminate me, and I don't appreciate it, because after all, I've already shown you that I'm not breaking any laws. I just got this vehicle, and you're harassing me in violation of the Constitution.
So you think I'm trying to incriminate you?
Officer, anything that comes from your mouth is not in my best interest, respectfully.
Okay. You're entitled to your opinion, okay?
Thank you, sir. So are you.
So, I was going to give you a warning, but you keep asking it before a magistrate. Would you rather I give you citations and then we can go to court?
Well, officer, what I would really like to do is use this as a learning opportunity. If you want to give me a warning, fine. But why don't we actually use this as an opportunity where I can ride with y'all, you can leave my vehicle right here, go to the court right now, call up the judge, ask him to look over this contract and declare if it has a legal purpose or if it is invalid because it is a violation of public policy.
We're not calling the judge at 3:40 in the morning.
Officer, respectfully, they're on call, aren't they?
No, they're not.
Well, that's pretty
I'm not
ridiculous.
Call the judge at 3:40 in the morning.
Well, if we can't go to a judge right now, then I don't want to go. I don't want to have anything to do with these tyrants in a court of law. I want to speak before somebody competent to make legal conclusions and read this contract and not just flip through it. You know what I mean?
Like I tried to explain
Respectfully,
to you
officer.
from the get-go, my primary concern, you didn't have a license plate to make sure your vehicle wasn't stolen.
Do you want me to show you the previous
Hang on.
license plates, or you're good?
Hang on. I've listened to plenty of what you had to say, okay?
Okay.
That was my primary concern.
Okay.
Now, you were subject to a traffic stop, which means you had to show ID. You didn't want to do that initially, so that's where I explained to you you had to do that.
You forced me to it.
Yes. It's part of a traffic stop.
Right, you forced me into it, just to put that on the record. You threatened me with this officer that I was going to go to jail.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for the record.
Absolutely. But you did provide ID.
Yes.
That's why you didn't go to jail. Now, because you satisfied what I was concerned about, I was going to give you a warning, because I'm not just out here to write tickets.
Because you're also under obligation of the law to follow the Constitution, respectfully. Just to put that in there.
We all swore an oath to the Constitution.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you acknowledging that.
Hang on. Like I said, I've listened to plenty of what you had to say. You keep talking about going before a magistrate. I was going to give you a warning. If you'd rather I can give you a citation, you can go before a judge. That's up to you. And that's not a threat. That's not me being sarcastic.
Okay.
You keep talking about wanting to go before a magistrate. That's the only way to go before a magistrate.
Right, but I mean, at this point, I don't live in this county. If this was in Hondo, I'd be welcome. I mean, would it be
if
a
you live
county?
in Hondo, then you're in Medina County. This is Medina.
So it would be a county violation, not a city.
It would be municipal court, city of Castroville.
So that's what I'm saying. It would be in the city, not in the county.
It would not be the county judge.
So that's what I'm saying. I would prefer not to go through a city municipal court where they're not even a court of competent record.
Okay.
So,
but I'm trying to be as respectful as possible, as polite as possible. You kept talking about wanting to go before a magistrate, so that was
officer,
why I asked that.
I just want to inform. I want to spread awareness of the rights that we have as people.
Okay.
I have no. You know, I really don't want to take the jobs away from y'all. I don't want to liquidate the bonds that you have with the city. I don't want to put you under liability of going to prison for life under Title 242 for threatening me to kidnap me and under threat, duress, and coercion. It's honestly ridiculous,
I have to
officer.
ask you if you're willing to provide phone number. I'm sure you're probably going to say no.
Just, out of my right to say no, I'm going to exercise my freedom to not answer any of your questions.
All right, man. So, it's a warning. You need you to sign right there.
I'm not going to sign anything. If you want me to read you a statement, it can just...
I don't need to hear any more statements.
Okay.
That's...
just to make you guys realize something, just to prove this is all based on contract law, you just asked me to sign something. You just asked for my consent.
It's because if it was a citation and you refused to sign, then you would have to go before the magistrate on that.
I would love to be put in a position where I can sue everybody here because of a violation of not just y'all's oath, but of my rights. So,
all right, bro. Hang tight.
I hope you guys feel happy about yourself. You got a bad guy today, somebody who studies the law and fights for freedom and knows the Constitution more than all of you. He can't even stand the truth. He's just walking away. He's mad because I taught him. I schooled every Officer Gonzalez. If they knew any of the freedoms, they would have already told me them, for the record.
All right, brother. Just a warning. Here's your license back.
Thank you, officer.
Here's a copy of the warning, okay? All the information's on here. There's a phone number down here and an email down here.
So if I have any problems...
Let me finish, okay?
For sure.
If you have any concern about how this was handled tonight...
Like complaints.
Right. Correct. Or if you feel it was incorrect or anything like that, you're welcome. That's the phone number for the Castroville PD. Okay. You can call down there and you can speak to Sergeant Katara. Is our patrol
Sergeant Katara.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You can speak to him. He can access our body cams. He can access all our cameras. And he would be the one to take that up with, okay?
Alrighty, officer.
All right. But that is a warning, so you don't need to follow up. But like I said, if you feel like we did something incorrect tonight, you are more than welcome to speak to Sergeant Katara, okay?
Alrighty, officer.
All right, sir. But you're free to go, okay?
Officer, I hope you guys study the Constitution tonight. That's all I have to say. This is sad.
Appreciate it.
You know, and I still forgive all of you because I'm a nice guy. You're lucky I'm not a violent person. You bastards. Officer, there's no license plate on your vehicle.
All right, folks, here are my final thoughts. When it comes to trusting the government, especially the police, I just can't do it. They often operate outside the law and enforce feelings. Video after video, the patterns don't lie. There is nothing more patriotic than holding government accountable. Questioning authority is especially recommended today considering cops don't even know the oath they swore to. We've discovered the pattern. We have definitive proof. But not only have we discovered this pattern and undeniable truth, we've come up with a solution. It's an easy fix, and here it is. Somebody called Joe Rogan and Dana White because nobody's fighting harder to fix this issue than your tired old friend, San Joaquin. Make it so the people that are applying to become cops memorize and comprehend the Bill of Rights. It's not that hard if you study a little. Like what kind of person would apply to work at a mechanic shop without a basic understanding of the car itself? Imagine you take your car to replace the carburetor and they replace the radiator instead. I'm leaning towards the side of the people when it comes to questionable laws that encroach on the rights of the people, especially considering we the people know the Constitution better than the cops do. And like I said, we have undeniable proof. And I've also read before that if the laws are not clear, the laws are supposed to err on the side of the people. Did we see that here? Absolutely not. Did they threaten to take this man to jail if he didn't comply? Absolutely. The truth of the matter is government don't want the people questioning their authority. But if we don't question their presumed authority, it'll turn into unbridled power. I do believe that this issue regarding traveler versus driver will soon be fixed. We live in the age of information, folks. Obviously, cops are not reading the Constitution, so we the people have no choice but to read it and understand it ourselves. There's a lot more that I want to go into in the future. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit the bell. We're going to try to educate ourselves a little more so we can bring you the kind of videos you can learn from. All right, folks, make sure you go subscribe to this channel. Let them know that I sent you. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.